today we are doing relatively unique conversation, and let me share what I understand about what we are going to do, and then our professional will help us refine my understanding. So, what I understand about this particular case is that you have been working in project delivery space, yeah, various roles, and now you are looking at an opportunity where, as much I understand, that opportunity is looking for a program management profile. And then we are trying to explore how do I position myself from a project management background to a program management background. And when I say program management background, I can say that it is that the new opportunity is looking for things like you work with project managers rather than you manage project. You work with project managers, ensures that projects are on track, ensures that their issues are visible enough so that timely interventions can be done, and have some kind of a mechanism to guide the overall different project executions which are happening there. So this is what I understand. What do you think about my understanding, and how do we get started from there?
Yeah, thanks, Sakit. Yes, are also some pointed some stereotype questions that might be asked, either technical or behavioral. If you have time, we can also go through them. They are aligned with these key accountabilities and selection criteria in this job description, actually.
Mhm, mhm, mhm. So what do you think? Like, how do you think you position yourself for this particular opportunity you are looking for?
Yeah, so my understanding was that this is basically still going under project managers or program managers, because here where I'm living, when I say project officer, this is one rank below the program manager. So this position is reporting to program and project managers. If you have a look at the the job description closely. However, honestly, when I go through key accountabilities and key selection criteria, I realized that it's still quite, high profile. We can go through that one by one, but my understanding was although the title was not that high ranked, but still the key accountabilities and selection criteria was tough.
Perfect. So see what I see based on the job description we are talking, and I see it's a program management office responsibility. So you can say you might be a program manager, or you might be supporting a program manager, or there could
Correct.
be a multiple people who are supporting that program manager. But ultimately, the skills are more or less the same. Maybe the program manager has little high degree of skills, and the people supporting and the program manager may be still lacking in some areas, and once they do that good, then they will become a program manager. That's how I see this particular thing. Now the whole thing is, when you come from project management background, how do you switch your focus from project management to a program management or supporting a program management? So what do you think will help us or you in doing that?
Very good question. I actually been asked this question once, even for a project coordination role where I applied. They asked me, "How do you manage a program?"
Hmm.
And actually, yeah, that was a question that I couldn't basically answer because for me, program is consisted or included many projects.
Hmm.
So if you're coordinating many projects, it's like, say, for example, work packages. So you have to sort of be organized and be able to prioritize your
Hmm.
projects for your customer, and based
Hmm.
on that priority or whatever the strategy of the business is, prioritize your projects and make sure that meet the deadlines and so on and so forth.
Mhm, mhm, mhm. Perfect. So I just little bit extend and we explore that part. So the way I see it, again, it may vary from one organization to another organization. The way I see program management is that you have various projects which are led by project managers. The many time the role of a program management office is to ensure there is a good amount of transparency in these projects. So how they do it, they may not have very authoritative role. They can't instruct the project manager do this, do that. They may not directly interact with the project team. They don't have much authority over them. They do more of an analytical and reporting work. Now, it may look like, okay, do I need to just prepare report? The idea here is, yes, yeah, one way of looking at that is just that you prepare a report. The another way of looking at is that you create some insightful reporting so that business stakeholders remain aware what is working and what is not working. So if some project requires intervention, they can do intervention. If they require somewhere to stop funding, they can do stop funding. So how I facilitate management and stakeholders making critical decisions about various projects. And that is kind of, you can say, a project management office work or a support program management office work, where you are saying, I am in the job of bringing intelligence out of various clutter of data which this project is producing to the stakeholder to make decision. I don't make decision. So my role is primarily a kind of a processing role. I detect things, I analyze them, I show them. That's it. And after that, someone takes action on it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if we relate that further, and that is what you can say, that one should have an understanding of various complex reporting. So that's where you can say. So when you talk about reporting, there could be multiple dimensions of the reporting. In some organizations, depending upon the nature of work, if it's a little, I would say, stable industry like telco, banking, or something. Banking is becoming very dynamic nowadays. But if there is a little stable industry, they might be too much focused on financial reporting. So when it comes to financial reporting, it's more about how much money has been spent, how much money has been earned. Like if they are using earned value management system, so they want to see the project value in the project progress in the term of money. What all deliverables has been done, how much this project has earned, and how much money it has consumed from our budget. So that kind of a reporting might be desired. The another important thing which is emerging in all types of work, be it a waterfall, agile, is the benefit realization. So it's like this: the projects sometimes keep coming and going, and some project starts realizing the benefit progressively. Some amount way of analyzing, say you were meant for produce a custom increase a customer satisfaction, that was the project, and you are halfway through, you have delivered few deliveries. After this halfway through delivering few deliveries, have you achieved something where the customer satisfaction has increased? So what kind of a benefit has been realized? You have already spent some x amount of money. So what is the benefit of it? So many time program management is also associated with, first, creating some model for benefit realization measurement, because it's not that easy. You may get benefit after 5 years. So there is a life cycle or a lifetime of that project benefits as well. But you come up as a project management or a program management office, you all come together and have some mechanism to start quantifying the benefits which the projects are producing, and help the stakeholders to see which project is producing more benefits, so that they may want to invest more money in it. But that kind of a decisions can be taken. So benefit management and realization, and the tracking of benefit is something becoming more and more important. So there are two way of looking cost. One is the money you are spending. The another way is the money you are anticipated to earn out of it. And making stakeholder aware about these two dimension, with the help of data analysis, with the help of tools, maybe an advanced Excel skills by way of making nice graphs and showing correlationship between few elements. So that kind of a tooling skill will need it when you get into a program management job.
That's right, exactly. Now I understand. It in job description there are lots of emphasizes on earned value, benefit realization, understanding and developing complex financials, and and the ability to present insights and trends to stakeholders, and you develop recommendations. So that's very true, which is something that honestly I haven't done directly. Like what I studied a lot, PMP Prince 2, and also my major, but they are all theoretical. When it comes to action, no, I just let the tools or whatever system organizations are putting in place do that calculation for me. But I can see that from this job description, they want someone who can have insight or who can be able to develop these complex financial, but I don't know what's the answer. So if they ask me, tell me about the situation when you sort of develop complex financials or and value and benefit realization, how can I sort of fit myself into that scenario?
Yeah. So, what probably you can relate from your past experiences, if you have done such kind of thing at a project level, not at a multi-project level. And to start with, you can brush up your skills related to earned value management, like schedule performance index, cost performance index, what is a budget at completion, all that PMBOK cost management knowledge area. It has some amount of calculation related to the earned value management. And when it comes to benefit realization, you need to explore things like net present value, internal rate of returns, the payback period. So making decisions based on the payback period for this project was anticipated to be 2 years, but now we see it's going to be 3 years. So something like this. So what is a payback period? In the amount of time the investment which you made in the project will come back to you. So you have paid 100,000 when the 100,000 comes back. So it's relatively difficult to see the complete execution of benefit realization part in a just one project because it goes beyond the project. But it's fairly possible to explore the areas which are associated with cost level monitoring associated with earned value management. So if you want to brush up your skills, I think for this particular opportunity, you can explore things related to earned value management.
Yes, understand.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Now, if we take the thing forward, the another skills, if we talk about here only, how to plot the graph of earned value in Excel, yeah, something like this. So you might explore. I think the Microsoft Excel has a template for earned value. So if you search earned value template Microsoft Excel, you can download it, play with the data. So see how this data and graph starts coming in. That will give you some confidence as well in the uses of it, and may also help you even to share with your Excel and say, this is how possibly I can make my earned value thing. I
Right.
think, yeah,
That's more tangible this way when you see how it works in the tools, right?
yes,
But
yes,
what I'm trying to say is that the way they write the job description, for me, it gives this sort of feedback that I thought, okay, they want someone to manually calculate these sort of data, whereas they are more complex that someone sort of can put it on the paper,
yeah,
more
yeah,
like the systems are now very improved and progressed that they do that for you. So we can see what is the budget at completion, how much you spend, where you are in terms of the cost, and then even it's escalated, it's
yeah,
highlighted, and you're
yeah,
red, you're green, you know what I mean.
yeah, yeah.
Um, okay.
Yeah. So what I see here is if you have been to some tool, you can throw that tool in your conversation and says, we have been using XXX project lifecycle management tool or a program management tool, and that was helping us to produce these kind of reports. So there could be an advantage as well as a disadvantage of it. Advantage is that they will see that, you have an experience which was mature enough, you were doing all this. The disadvantage could be that if they are not familiar with the tool, they may say that, this person was just feeding the data and may not know how to interpret it because tool was doing it and they were just passing the information left and right. So that could be the disadvantage of it. So play with care, and I think primarily focus on showing that you have an understanding how it get calculated, and how various tools and excels can do it, and how, rather than calculate it, how possibly you want to highlight that, the way you said red, green, and orange or whatever. It's like that, what kind of a criteria you use to mark something red. So that might be a good conversation. Consistently for 2 months, if the cost performance index was going less than 1, we started marking it red, and once we mark it red, this all happens. So that kind of a story might also be useful in a program management space. Yeah.
What does that mean when they say developing complex financial? What does word developing or term developing means in that context?
So when you say developing a complex financial model, sometime, say, I have a project, yeah, and if I release this particular project next month, yeah, it can make $5 million. If I delay it by one more month, it will make $4 million. So I will lose $1 million by delaying it by 1 month. Yeah. Now I have few options. I can spend 500,000 and get this released. Yeah, 1 month in advance. But there is also a probability that if I bypass some of the factors, it may result into a penalty of 200,000. But that's a probability that it can happen. It may not happen. And if that happen, then 500,000 plus 200,000, the penalty will go. And there could be some adverse effect which may be beyond 1 year. It might be a little bit more impactful to the business. Yeah. So there are various factors which are saying, there is a benefit expected, there is a cost expected, there is a risk associated, and there are some other higher risk, but the probability of those risks are less. Now, how do I put all this in the model? Yeah, so it is becoming a complex financial model, but how do I put it in a way so that the model helps me make a decision that should I go with 1 month early by spending this 500,000, or should I delay it by 1 month and wait and let the 1 million loss happen and let me earn from the next month onwards? So such kind of a models are called complex financial models, which might help us in making such kind of decisions.
When they say developing, it means a sort of creating and maintaining and interpreting.
Yes,
That's what I
yes, yes,
understand.
yes, yes, yes. So developing means that you may say that when we make a decision for financial, we will take three factors in account: opportunity cost, what we are losing, the cost of payment, which we have to go, and risk cost. So that becomes a model. It says, if the opportunity cost is higher than the direct cost or a cost we are applying plus risk cost, we take the decision. If it is not, we don't take the decision. Yeah. So this becomes a financial model. Now,
Mhm.
then the second thing is that first you understand such kind of existing models so that you know how to calculate opportunity cost, how to calculate risk cost. That's a understanding of it. Sometimes you see that the current model is not capturing human aspect related to the decision making, because we may have a lot of stress in making that decision, which might be costly after 1 month to us. So you may add human aspects to it that will become the another parameter in a financial model. So that's why you have modified or developed a financial model.
Okay. So it's more or less about financials, and I think I have to have some study with either PMP or I don't know whatever online. Maybe we can take it offline later in an email. You give me some suggestions what to read and to make it more tangible. So we can probably go to other questions that I might get
Yeah,
stuck.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
So that's what I was thinking. Maybe if something which is not you don't have an experience of, making too much story might not be a good idea. So better you stick to
Exactly.
the amount of financial experience you have, and you don't push yourself beyond that, and
No.
try to see other areas where you can probably be pitching. And I see the other areas are facilitation, communication, conflict management, record keeping. It's like administrative management of the things.
Yeah.
So
Easy.
facilitation and administrative skills and comfortable with the technology, comfortable with the communication tool. That's the another set of skills which is needed in this office.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Like
you
all other,
go ahead.
yeah, you're right. Yeah, like all other offices. So we can focus on the other areas
Yeah, yeah.
further than.
Yeah. So now when you talk about those other areas, see, you might be exploring various videos and various ideas where we were talking about dealing with the team members. Some team member is arrogant, some team member is like that, some
Mm,
team member is like that. But here, that issues will not come. Those type of issues will not come. There will be a people issue, but there are more issues with powerful people. So it's more about that you are a small guy, yeah, and you are trying to work with people who have a higher position in the organization, and you need to
right.
get the work done from them. You need to make them listen to each other. You need to make them collaborate with each other. So
Mhm.
that kind of facilitation and communication skills probably will get tested. So where you are working with seniors, not people who are below your rank, you are working with the
Right.
people who are above your rank. How do you get the work done from them? How do you influence them? How do you make them talk to each other? How do you resolve conflicts among them? Yeah, so that's a
Exactly. Or with me, say for example, one of the questions always, what would you give me a scenario or a story where you had conflict with your manager? How would you solve it, resolve it?
hmm hmm
You
so
know,
something like,
situation,
yes.
yeah, situation, tasks, resolution, result.
Yeah. So that's like, yeah, you can say that situational and situation and context, and you can talk about those kind of model context. Then you talk about observation, and then you talk about impact and what you talk about next. So this is like a model. There are multiple acronyms for it. We usually use coin one, what is the
Mhm.
context, what was the observation, what is an impact, and what do we do next, COIN. But all these models are good to organize your thought. The main thing is you need to demonstrate your thinking pattern and belief pattern when you deal with conflicts. So that is more important. So in general, you believe in that people are not right and wrong. It's all about that someone has a different perspective than you have. It is nothing like I believe the person should change his perspective. It's all about that I want to understand his perspective. So whenever you are dealing with any human relation, be it at any place, the whole philosophy, or easier way, you can read 100 books, but most of them will follow in the same loop, where it talks about, let's understand the place the other person is coming from. So till the time we don't understand from where the person is coming, what makes him do what he's doing, or what makes him do, or what makes him say what he's saying, till the time we
Mhm.
don't have a fair understanding of it, we won't be able to do anything. Yeah, so that's
Yes.
that's the basic foundation. So I want to listen, appreciate, analyze, and rather than say I will prove and explain, then you are going in a wrong loop. So I want to understand how you are getting impacted and what can be done about it. What are our
Mhm.
options? Where how can we organize our work? How can we organize our team in such a way so that it takes care of some of the issue which person is facing. So that's a common thing. So yeah, listen to the person. Once we listen to the person, we know where the person is, and when we know where the person is, we probably can do something about it. Yeah. So
Understand.
manager, you listen to the manager, understand what are his priority, what he's making him off, what can help him to feel good about the relation. And you are not saying that I will prove, I will show my work. So that's too much. You are saying, I will maintain a log of things which I have done and I will show to the manager. So again, you are trying to prove rather than we start from reverse. I don't do anything about proving myself, but I do all the things to understand what he wants to know, and then help him to see and get what he wants to know. So what kind of an expectation is not getting met? That is my learning. First, I will learn what is not getting met rather than I show what I am doing. That's
Mm.
a wrong approach. Rather than wrong approach,
Yes.
that's a risky approach, because you are not listening. You are still proving. Yeah. Whereas if you are saying, I will absorb first, and then I will probably help him to see what he might not be able to see on his own. So I will just help and work out to find the options. Yeah. So that kind
Mhm.
of approach, I think, you try to fit in any context people put in. Here it's more important because seniors are handling. I think in a junior space also this is more or less the same thing. Yeah, but a little bit of more, I would say, humbleness is needed when you are dealing with the senior
Mhm.
people. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's correct. Um, One of the other question I have here is when they say you should have demonstrated ability to recommend project control solution, either time planning, resource management, complex scheduling. So as a person who is sort of, just a project manager, entry level program manager, why should I even have an insight to recommend any project control solution? It's a bit odd because my expectation from this large organization is they have already system and solution in place. Why
Mhm.
should I, why this is selection criteria for this role?
Mm.
What do you think?
So what I say is that it is something they are exploring. They are exploring that, do you have an exposure? Because sometimes you may have an exposure. Yeah. So of doing it. So it's like this, that the whole thing is, how do you propose a control system? A PMO kind of a setup. So it might be that some of you might had an experience of being a part of the PMO when it was getting set up. So, or being a part of a project where the governance and project controlling mechanism was getting in place. So you can say, how do we govern your project? How do you monitor your project? What kind of things you put in? And that may be the case which we want to look at. Yeah,
Oh, very
yeah,
nice. Yeah,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
very good touch actually. Understand. Or even along with that, another line was changed or contributed to an innovative improvement of a process. Right.
Yeah,
Okay. So
same thing.
yeah, one of the questions is of because I've been to so many interviews unsuccessfully. So I remember the question they said, "Tell me about a time where you could change a process or help changing a process to become better." You know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So something like you have been monitoring, say, a number of hours spent in a given project, or number of percentage completion in the given task, and you started moving. You said, no, no, we will not focus on percentage completion. We will only focus on what is completed and what is not completed. And you brought the case. You had a story where you explained that the percentage completion was always showing the green result, but in the reality it was not green. So we started focusing on no percentage. We started focusing on either it is done or not done. And done is only counted, not done is not counted. And we do all our status reporting based on done. And that helped us to be more vigilant about what was working and what was not working, because percentage was very gray thing. So such kind of example. So whatever,
Mhm.
think like this from your real work, and you might be able to find out, this is how it worked in that place. Yeah.
Understand. Yeah, very clever. And this question, which I think everyone is interested to see how we can smartly answer, because there are lots of when you Google, so many YouTube videos or conversation comes up, but most of these are so stereotype and cliche, which even when you obtain and repeat in the interviews, yourself feel, oh, it's so fake,
I
So
know.
you have to sort of believe in what you're saying and
Yeah.
change the mindset in a way that you practice in a way that you really believe into your answer, with self-confidence. That's one of the problem that I have is sometimes I think, okay, the answer, because the reality when it comes to deadline, it's different. Most
Mm-hmm.
of the project fails. They're not on time, and then what would you do about it?
Mm-hmm.
When you see that something is delays, it's on critical path. All
Mm-hmm.
right, I should escalate it first of all. And I'm going to my manager saying, okay, I probably need another resource, or we're going to be late and customer is going to be angry. But you will
Mm-hmm.
always have limitation on, cost and budget. And well, I don't know, maybe if you're lucky, you can put change request in, either absorb it internally, or customer, will be like sort of, you can you should do negotiation. And it's not with me, it's more normally account managers and senior level conversation with customer when you're late. But this
Mm-hmm.
is not a probably not good response. And I'm really feeling sorry that we are not able to tell the real story, because
Mm-hmm.
you seem unclever and unsmart if you answer like what happened in reality. They expect you to give something unique and say, what have you done
Mm-hmm.
to meet that tight deadline, you know
Yeah.
That's what-
So again, yeah, so that's a perfect thing. And I think what I feel, the interviewers are also looking for some messy answers rather than a very clean answers. So they do want to see that something failed and something succeeded, rather than you always show that you are always 100% successful. So I think be okay with some amount of mess in your conversation. So when you say that there is a deadline, and then you wanted to control the critical path, you may have a situation where you could not control 100%, but you can cover up some gap. It looked like that there will be a 6 months delay, but you could reduce the delay to 6 months to 3 months collaboratively with the development team. So I think bring such kind of a story where there is some amount of failure, some amount of success, might make the story more realistic. If you just
Mhm.
bring a story, you did a crashing and you did a fast tracking and you did everything in parallel, and things resolved, then it doesn't give an answer clearly. People may think, okay, this might be a cooked up answer. Yeah.
They sometimes put you in a corner where I remember once they asked me, okay, it's 4 o'clock on Friday. and you're looking for a report which is late from your team member or your engineer, and then that's an input to your own report to someone else on a senior level, what would you do in that situation to get that work done? So they want to really see what you have done, what
Mhm,
you have done differently to sort of meet your tight deadline. So tell
yeah,
me
yeah.
about the situation where you meet a tight deadline
Mhm, mhm.
although the team was late. So what would you answer, Saket?
Yeah. So again, it is a context dependent thing. So one is that, do I have an access to the data which I can refer directly? Can I reach to the person and understand what is blocking him? There are many cases when people do have an information, but they are looking for the final information which they are not having it, and they are delaying it because of that. You can say, okay, whatever you have, please give it to me. I will process that. Sometimes it could be that they have a raw data, but they have not yet processed it. But they may say, okay, I can do till here, and rest, can you take care of it? So there could be a many such instances where you have such thing, and it says, okay, do whatever, give me whatever you have, so that I can process and we can forward it. Sometime you would be able to process 100% because the subordinate had all the data, just it was processing was delayed, he was unable to interpret all of them, but you can do it a little faster. Sometime the person might be really missing some data. Yeah. So particular project has not produced that data, and since they have some real trouble in sharing this data, so you may focus on finishing other work and making a note of it, that this part we could not achieve because we don't have the access to the data. We tried our it, and this is what our sense, based on the historical trend, it may show that it might be this, but we need to reconfirm this part of the piece of the information, because it's an estimated information, it's not the data which we have captured. So multiple pattern. One is that you do yourself, that's the one pattern. You do part of the work, that's the second pattern, because the processing is done. The third is that you do you take the information whatever is available, and whatever is a deviation, you try to find out some estimation and comment there that this part is not yet updated, and you will find out, and next time onwards you will inspect and adapt on it, that how can we come to know about these things some hours in advance, rather than only coming to know at the last hours. So if it is happening first time, then it's okay. But if it is happening again, then I need to change my process. That why do I prepare a report at a Friday afternoon? Why don't I prepare a report at a Friday morning? What is blocking me? At least part of the report. So I see various things. So what I see here is, whenever somebody asks the question, we need to go beyond the question. If you try to just limit your answer to the question asked, then you will have a
Mhm.
very limited options. So you go into
Exactly.
one step ahead of the option. Okay, why do we have a problem? We don't prepare the report at a Friday evening. It used to
Mhm.
be there, but now we started preparing on Thursday. And so that we have a one day to process it, so that we have a predictability to the end customer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
understand. So that's very smart. Your touch, I feel that you are sort of playing and challenging the question itself to
yeah,
sort
yeah,
of because it's very subjective, these questions,
yeah,
or even behavioral. I mean, you never know what's the right answer or what is that interviewer expect you to say in that context, in that
yeah,
organization, in that role.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
understand what
what,
you
what
mean.
I believe is, these people may just want to see your thought process and how you want to proceed this situation. That's the only
Mhm.
thing. Yeah. And after that, I think it will be good. Yeah, they will just they just want to sense it. Any logical guy will know that there is no perfect solution for it.
Understand. So if you want to give me, say, for example, in a sentence, that what are these people looking for? And based on your understanding of my personality and my
Yeah.
experience, what do you recommend? What should I focus to sort of be successful in that interview?
So what I feel, and especially if I'm asking somebody a behavioral question, the first thing I expect from the person is not to be very sure about his approaches. He or she should not say this is how it will work, because he must understand behavioral things are very context sensitive, they keep changing. And if I'm saying this is how it has worked for me, then I might be giving wrong answer, because same problem, the same solution will not get applied all the time, because behavioral aspects required same problem gets solved in a different way different times. So that's the first thing. If the person is giving scripted answer, and it is always showing it will work, then I may start suspecting that has it really worked, or what magic this guy got where he can get a solution of a behavioral problem like this. So first I show tentativeness. Yeah. So I and the second thing is, once I have a tentativeness, then I add a lot of assumptions to it. I say that, okay, from this question I am adding these things to it.
Mm-hmm.
So when the person says it's a 4 o'clock, you have not received the thing, then it says I am adding that the person, I am adding a situation where person had 90% information, just the 10% was missing, but he was holding that, I will only send when the everything comes up. So you add to information to it, or you add to information to it. I am adding it. The person has the raw data, but he has not got a time to process it all, and that's why he's not sending it. Yeah. So
You're
you
making a story around it, you know?
Yes, 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 yes. So first you remain tentative, then second you add story to it, because only by adding information you can bring your perception to it. Because anyway you are adding a story, but you are adding a story in your mind. You are not sharing that story with the person. When the person asks what happened in the 4 o'clock and says, in order to answer it, you need to assume something. You don't know. And when you assume something, and you give answer based on that assumption. But if you don't share that assumption with the guy, the person may not know, why you are saying this. This was not the case, because he had his own assumption in his head. When he
Mm.
was asking the question to you, he thought about something which he has not shared. Yeah. So when you share your assumption, he may share his assumption, he may correct your assumption, and then when he's correcting your assumption, probably you can give a right answer, because now you also understand what he is coming from. So that's the possible thing you can do. So be tentative, add add information to the question first before you add
Mm.
information to the answer.
Add information. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so what was your understanding from this role? What kind of person do you think they want to see in the candidate, in a potential candidate?
I see this is more like a data analytics, communication, and administrative role. So that's the kind
Mm.
of person they might be looking for.
Mm.
Person who is good in processing data, sending emails, preparing reports, setting up meetings, informing stakeholders, organizing meetings, sometime virtually, sometime face to face. So
Yeah.
meeting administration, facilitation, data processing, and communication seems to be the
Mm.
skills these guys are looking for. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
Understand. Okay.
yeah.
And then another question. I know we are over time. I think you said 35 minutes, but what is your advice to someone like me to try, because I did lots, I try hard, okay, to be successful in the roles, and this is a really good position with lots of benefits, but something like that, even if it doesn't happen this week, but I am I just want to be on right track, on right path, to get to the point where I can be successful in whatever role I want. What is your advice to someone like me?
So
What should I do? I
I think,
learn.
yeah, I think you are doing already pretty good when for your for a preparation point of view. So I think the way you have been preparing for a while and watching and analyzing various answers, so that's a very right track. The another thing which you can do is that start speaking up, participating in some community meetups and events, so that you
Mm,
you start observing what other people are talking. So which you have already
mm,
done in the form of YouTube videos, but now what you can do is you pitch in and have a conversation where you end up also speaking. So conversation
right.
like these with many people, in a group discussions as well, where you also hear what people are really going through, which you are already doing in a way by way of watching the YouTube videos. You may start joining more live conversations, so which will give you a confidence. So what I
Mm,
see, I sense, I am not sure, that you have a lot of ideas. They only require to be polished and presented in a confidence, in a contextual
exactly.
manner.
Yeah.
So confidence and context, these are the two things which are seems to be not plugging with together. So you have a
No.
knowledge, but the context and confidence is not coming together.
No, right, you're right, because I haven't been participated in those, and I always was in fear of presentation and then comparing myself to the local English accents that other people have, and project management, these sort of role are really into communication and ways of talking, and being confident on the way you talk, the way you present, the way you articulate yourself. So that's I think a shortcoming that I've had so far, that I
Yeah,
probably,
yeah.
and Stress management in interview is really important.
Really.
I can't manage my stress.
Yeah. So what I see here is that once you get into the groups where you see the people who are already doing the job, and
Mhm.
you talk to them, you present your topic in front of them, you listen to them, then you will realize, okay, it's okay, I'm more or less at the same level. Because you have your own assumptions. You are saying that people are at a level who are getting the job of this kind, but when you really start interacting and seeing them, then you become comfortable. Okay, this word is like this only, I can also handle. Yeah, so that's the whole thing. So I think the confidence comes from exposure. So you have a knowledge, you need to get exposed to the conversation where others are there, and the more and more exposure you have, you are ready for the failure. Giving interview is also an exposure. So you take them as a challenge, you go for those exposures, and then learn from those exposures, and then add context to it, so the situations and thing that will bring a confidence in you to present these ideas. You are already doing
Yeah.
good in the learning space, I guess. Yeah.
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 Yeah, I really like your videos when it comes to Scrum and Agile. It was really systematic and more, Agile makes lots of sense.
Mm-hmm,
But when it
mm-hmm.
comes to waterfall, unfortunately, it's really, there's no end. There's no start and there's no end for waterfall. So I really hope that most of the organization be successful in this transition and really
Mm-hmm.
going towards being agile. That's my understanding. And then please share with me any group or any forum or any classes that you are sort of holding up so that I can participate. That
Sure,
would
sure,
be
sure,
awesome.
sure. Will do. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for your time.
Good. Thank you. Nice talking. Yeah. You can
Yeah, it was
organize
good.
another if needed. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Have a good one. Thanks,
Thank you.
Eke.
Bye.
Take
Bye.
care.
Bye.